Prabhuji, you can start.
So we are continuing Śrīla Prabhupāda-līlāmṛta, Volume 2, Chapter 57, Opening a Temple in Los Angeles. Los Angeles, January 6, 1968. The building at 5364 West Pico Boulevard was a small storefront in a middle-class black neighborhood of Los Angeles. With his key, Anirudh opened the rear door, and Śrīla Prabhupada entered, followed by a few disciples. The room was dark. A Brijbasi print of Lord Krishna sat atop the altar, which was no more than 2 orange crates covered with an old madras. A tambura and a mridanga on the end stood in one corner, and a curtain hung over the front window. Prabhupada's seat, a simple raised platform, was the only furniture. Prabhupada, dressed in a saffron robes and walking with a cane, crossed the room, opened the front door, and stepped outside. Glancing up and down the street, he saw small, run-down houses. It was a quiet, out-of-the-way neighborhood, unlike the more vital locations his disciples had found in San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury and Manhattan's Lower East Side. But it was a place in Los Angeles, a start. Prabhupada stepped back inside and shut the door. Anirudh, Dayanand, his wife Nandarani, and their 3-week-old daughter Chandramukhi were there, the members of the Los Angeles Temple. Several other devotees who had driven down a few days earlier from San Francisco were also there and stood anxiously around Prabhupada, waiting to hear what he would say. Prabhupada looked around carefully. "All right," he said, "let us have kirtan," and picking up the mridanga, he sat down on the small platform while his disciples sat down before him on the floor. No sooner had he begun to play, however, when Janaki rushed over to him carrying the tambura. "Swamiji," she said, you can't play the drum. You are not well enough. Play this." Her reprimand was motherly. Prabhupada was 72 and only 6 months ago had been hospitalized after a heart attack and stroke. He had only recently returned from India, where he had gone to recuperate. Naturally, his disciples were concerned about his health. "All right," Prabhupada smiled, trading instruments with Janaki. "Then I will play tambura." As Srila Prabhupada softly plucked the metal strings, his disciples clapped the 1-2-3 rhythm. Prabhupada chanted Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. With his traditional Bengali melody, he led the singing, joining with his disciples on the chorus. As Prabhupada's disciples sat earnestly chanting before him, some of them looking up to him, others singing with eyes closed, he looked at each disciple. Nervous, timid Anirudh was there. He blushed easily and his bespectacled eyes squinted when he smiled. Tall, lean Dayanand was there. He had a good job as a computer technician for RCA, and he was giving $200 monthly to support the temple he and his wife had started. Srila Prabhupada had been in India when Dayanand and Nandarani had moved to Los Angeles and found his little storefront. Immediately they had written to him about the new temple and the warm, sunny Los Angeles climate, which they said would be good for his health. He had expressed his eagerness to join them. "I am pleased that our desire is fulfilled by grace of Lord Krishna. Your specific duty is to chant and hear the transcendental name of the Lord. Read some passages from my English version of Srimad Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Gitopnishad. and explain them as far as possible as you have heard from me. Any devotee who has developed genuine love for Krishna can also explain the truth about Krishna, because Krishna helps such sincere devotee seated in his heart. Dayanand and Nandarani had written to Prabhupada that people in Los Angeles were not as receptive as in San Francisco and New York, but Prabhupada had assured them that if they chanted with the devotion, success would come, Krishna would help them. In his room at the Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan, Prabhupada had meditated on sending young men and women like Dayanand and Nandarani all over the world to open Krishna conscious centers. Despite old age and ill health, this was his life's ambition, his single dominating desire, and in whatever time he had left, he wanted to establish the Krishna consciousness movement worldwide. His success in America over the past 2 years had given him hope. Mukunda had begun a temple in San Francisco. Kirtananda had begun one in Montreal, Satswarupa in Boston, Subala in Santa Fe, and Brahmananda had stayed in New York. These temples were storefronts only, and the leaders young, inexperienced men. But the Western youth were showing interest. There was great potential. After Kirtan, Dayanand drove Prabhupada to his apartment 2 miles away. It was small, a front room, a kitchenette, and a back room with tiny bathroom, and noisy. Aniruddha had arranged for Gaurasundara and his wife Govinda Dasi, who were acting as Prabhupada's servant and secretary, to stay in the front room. Prabhupada said his health was still not good, his sleep was often disturbed, and he spoke of a gong sound in his head. He had occasional headaches and a ringing in his left ear. An Ayurvedic doctor in India had told him to take cinnamon buds, and he had seen a doctor in San Francisco, but the doctor's prescription had not helped. I may inform you in that connection that I am at present moment physically unfit. I am having always a buzzing sound in my brain. I cannot sleep at night, but still I am working because I try to be on my position of spiritual platform. Prabhupada was in good spirits. However, despite his age and lingering sickness, he appeared strong, and 6 months in India had tanned him a golden, healthy hue. He always sat straight and smiled often. He walked with a cane, yet upright, with a quick step, tiring his young disciples who attempted to keep up with him. He even mentioned that if his inability to sleep continued, he would have more time for writing his books. Gone was the mindlessness of his young followers, who had previously thought that Swamiji, because he was a pure devotee, should be let to do any strenuous activities he liked, working all night or singing and playing the mridanga for hours in the park. Now the devotees had become concerned and protective, trying always to arrange for his ease, suggesting when they thought something was too strenuous for him. Usually, however, Prabhupada would give the last word on what he would or would not do. When Yamuna and Janki arrived from San Francisco, they decided that if Swamiji were to get well, he would require a special diet. So they devised a regimen featuring small servings of boiled vegetables without salt, spices or ghee. At first, Prabhupada gently submitted to their request, but on trying their meals, he commented, "These vegetables are nasty. They are not fit for eating." After 3 days, when Govinda Dasi told him of some new reductions in his diet, he roared, "Let the starvation committee go to hell. You feed me." Again Prabhupada began taking his regular lunch, dal, rice, chapatis and couple of sabjis with ghee. One day when Govinda Dasi brought him his lunch, he commented, "Oh, this is very nice. When I was in India, everyone told me, 'Oh, Swamiji, you cannot go to America, you will starve there. They have no food, they eat only meats and potatoes.' So I said, 'What is that? I shall live on bread and potatoes. There is no problem, I can survive on bread and potatoes.' So I was thinking like that when I came to your country, that I shall live on bread and potatoes. But now I have come here, and Krishna is so kind. He has not only given me everything in the way of nice food, but you are also cooking all sorts of nice vegetable preparations, chapati, dal, rice, everything is there. So this is Krishna's kindness." Although when Prabhupada had first arrived in America, he had been alone and had difficulty finding even a single sincere person. Now he was surrounded by sincere students eager to learn from him. Still he accepted this new position in the same spirit as he had accepted the lonely months in New York City. He was doing his beloved duty to his spiritual master, writing books, seeking to engage others in Krishna consciousness mission, and speaking about Krishna always. Sometimes, as Prabhupada would shuffle through the apartment in his sleepers, he would see Gaura Sundara and Govinda Dasi seated at the kitchen table practicing their first lesson in Bengali alphabet. He had given them a Bengali verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita to memorize, and regularly he would drill them to see if they knew it. Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanandau Sahoditau Gaudodaya Pushpavantau Chitrau Shamdau Tamo Nudau. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like sun and the moon. They have arisen simultaneously on the horizon of Gauda to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all. Looking over their shoulders, Prabhupada remarked, "This is very nice. Just like a child is learning to write, his writing may not be perfect, it may be crooked or imperfect, but the teacher wants to see that the students are trying. It doesn't matter how well they are doing, but just that they are fully engaged. So it is just like our service to Krishna. What can we do for Krishna? Krishna is everything. He doesn't need our service, but he wants to see that we are trying. We are trying a little bit to give him service. That is the whole idea." It was only 4 days after Prabhupada's arrival. He had just risen from the afternoon's rest, walked into the front room, and there was Subala. Prabhupada was surprised. Subala was supposed to be in the Santa Fe. "My wife has left me," Subala burst out, and a sad tale followed. Subala told how he had left his wife, Krishna Devi Dasi, alone at the Santa Fe temple for a few days and gone to New York to visit his parents. Meanwhile, Krishna Devi had run away with a boy who had been visiting the temple, and she had decided to stay with him and give up her husband. "Don't worry," Prabhupada told Subala. "Everything will be alright. I will write a letter to Krishna Devi and tell her to come back to you. You can go to Santa Fe tomorrow and everything will be alright." Subala left the next morning for Santa Fe, and Prabhupada, although calm in Subala's presence, began to show deep disturbance over the sordid affair. Krishna Devi was his disciple, and he had performed the sacred marriage ceremony for her and Subala. He had asked them to be an ideal couple, cooperating together in Krishna consciousness. Together they had gone to start the center in New Mexico. "Don't be discouraged," he told them. "Even though no one may come to hear you, still you chant and hear." But now Krishna Devi had simply left the temple and her husband. When Subala arrived in Santa Fe, he found that Krishna Devi and her boyfriend Randy had left town. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, Prabhupada received a letter from Krishna Devi. She said she wanted to stay in Krishna consciousness but with her new boyfriend. This is all nonsense, Prabhupada exclaimed. I will simply go back to Vrindavan and sit and chant Hare Krishna. Why should I do this? Why should I deal with this quarrel between husband and wife? This is not the business of a sannyasi. Prabhupada wrote a letter to Krishna Devi in care of Santa Fe Temple. Your recent activities have been very much upsetting to each and every member of our society. I never expected that you shall act in this way. If you love me at all and Krishna at all, you should immediately return back, either to me or to your husband without delay. In your letter, it is understood that you are repenting. You have done a great mistake. Come back and everything will be alright. To Subala, Prabhupada wrote, I am very sorry to learn about your present plight. You must be feeling a great shock for the separation, but there is a great lesson also. Anyway, if you are feeling too heavy-hearted, you may come here and live with me for some time. I hope I shall be able to ease your heaviness. But before Prabhupada's letter arrived, Subala had already left Santa Fe for Los Angeles, thinking, I can't take this anymore. I am going back to Swamiji. Sitting on his porch, taking his noontime massage, Prabhupada suddenly saw Subala looking more miserable than ever, coming up the sidewalk. Subala, Prabhupada called out, remaining seated. Subala approached and offered obeisances before Śrīla Prabhupada, who sat in the California sunshine and dressed only in an Indian gamcha, while Gaurasundara massaged him with mustard oil. You did not get my letter? Prabhupada asked. No, Subala replied. Yes, Prabhupada nodded. You have got my letter. I have written you and told you that if you are feeling too heavy-hearted, you may come here and live with me for some time. Subala. So I moved into the crowded front room of Swamiji's apartment. I slept in the living room right outside of the Swamiji's room, and there was only a curtain separating us. At night I could hear him dictating Srimad Bhagavatam. He asked me to carve some Radha Krishna deities for him. I had already carved some Jagannath deities, and now Swamiji said he wanted Radha Krishna deities carved. So I bought a block of mahogany and began carving Radha Krishna. Prabhupada received word from Rai Ram in New York that his editing of Bhagavad Gita manuscript was nearing completion. When Prabhupada read Rai Rama's letter, he exploded. Nearing completion? I heard this before I started from India. Rai Rama's slow editing was delaying the manuscript too much. Although the contract with Macmillan Company had already been signed, the manuscript had still not been submitted. Seeing Rai Rama's editing as a perpetual delay, Prabhupada decided Rai Rama should immediately stop all other duties and come to Los Angeles. After a few days, Rai Rama arrived. He too settled into the crowded front room of Swamiji's tiny apartment, picking a corner for himself where he could work on the Bhagavad Gita manuscript. After having spoken in the temple with Swamiji's presence one night, Rai Rama wrote home to the devotees in the New York. Although his health is delicate, he is not to be held back. After all that activity last night, he continued talking to us when we returned, and then got up at 2:30 a.m. this morning and worked for 3 hours. He just returned now from a 2.5 mile morning walk, so he is not exactly weak or failing, and if we say anything to check him, he tells that his life has no value if it is not used for Krishna. Last week, Garga Muni was telling Swamiji that he sometimes dreams of how to sell things, and Swamiji said that he also dreams of preaching. But he told us last night that when he is speaking of Krishna, there is no pain. One day on a walk, Prabhupada discovered a special a special place across the street from his apartment. There, on a neighbor's front lawn, stood a broad, tall tree. Taking a few disciples with him, Prabhupada went over and sat down beneath the tree. On a warm Los Angeles afternoon, this was a great but simple luxury, sitting in the pleasant sunny atmosphere beneath the shade tree. Rai Rama considered the occasion something to write to the devotees in New York about. This afternoon, I took a stroll to the temple, which is some distance away, and when I returned, I found Swamiji crossing the street from his house, accompanied by Gaura Sundar. So I trailed him up close. Swamiji took his seat under a big oak tree which grows close by our house across the street. Meditation under a tree is very nice, he said after a few minutes. As we sat there, other devotees came and joined us, all sitting around Swamiji on some unknown person's lawn under their tree. Therefore, in former times, sages used to seat themselves under trees and teach. I know that I am a worthless fool. Here I sit at Swamiji's feet, and my tears are not flowing or my heart breaking with joy. But even for a fool, Swamiji's presence is intoxicating in the extreme. Swamiji said that saintly persons in India often sat under trees and even lived there with no other shelter. The 6 Goswamis who wrote books under the order of Lord Chaitanya lived this way in Vrindavan, staying each night under different tree and compiling sublime Sanskrit literatures. Hearing Swamiji speak on such transcendental subjects in this setting fit perfectly the devotees' ideal notions of Guru beneath an ancient towering banyan tree in India. It didn't seem to them that they were sitting in an ordinary neighborhood of Los Angeles. Often Aniruddha would return to the apartment after shopping or errands, and he would see from afar these gorgeous looking saffron robed person sitting there on the grassy lawn. One day, as Subala, Govindadasi, Rai Rama, and others sat with Prabhupada in the shade, Prabhupada observed a pair of white butterflies. Just see these worms, he said, pointing to the butterflies. Here also there is husband and wife. The whole world is in this bondage. Knowing Subala was still lamenting, Prabhupada continued to speak about the topic on both their minds. It is not so wonderful that Krishna Devi has left, he said. What is wonderful is that we are able to stay and serve Krishna. The Maya is so strong. It is Krishna's divine energy, and for someone to actually stay engaged in Krishna's service is very rare. The living entity is practically helpless under the sway of Maya's power and can only cry out Krishna for help. But we have to pray at every moment that power of Maya does not disturb us. Subala continued to live with Prabhupada, cooking for him, tending to his personal needs, carving deities of Radha and Krishna. Prabhupada wrote Krishna Devi again. Your husband, Sriman Subala Das, is living with me very peacefully, and he is carving Radha Krishna from hardwood. So this life of material existence is like hardwood, and if we can carve Krishna out of it, that is the success of our life. So at any circumstances you must not forget Krishna. I love you at my heart, and therefore I gave you the name Krishna Devi Dasi. Don't forget Krishna even for a single moment. Chant Hare Krishna loudly or slowly as it may be convenient, but don't forget to chant the holy name. I hope everything will be alright soon, as soon as you come here with Randy, and I am awaiting your arrival with a great interest. One day, after a walk.
Prabhuji, shall we stop here for the day?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, so that we can discuss few minutes about our life in today's
Yeah, Mataji.
recitation.
Yes, Mataji. I was not in the previous two or three chapters, but what I feel from this reading was that Srila Prabhupada was he was supporting his disciples in every way, uh, as we see here when Prabhuji's wife had left him, and Srila Prabhupada was sympathizing with him. He offered him to stay with him. So it was very very nice that Guru Maharaj is so much supporting his disciple. So that
Yes,
was
Prabhuji.
very wonderful reflection.
Yeah, yeah. Even I felt that Prabhupada was even merciful towards the wife, the Krishna Devi Rasi Mataji, and he was advising her what better can be done and what is the real purpose, and not just repeatedly. So yeah, it was nice, and he was patient over.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, your voice is echoing.
Yeah, I think it is from Gaur Bhagwan Prabhu. I think maybe there are two devices. I think
Okay.
now I muted once to test.
Yeah, yours is clear.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
it will be clear, Mataji. Yes,
Yeah.
you can repeat.
Yeah, so the part, sorry. Yeah, the same what God Bhagwan Prabhu was saying. That, yeah, even I like that part that Prabhupada was so merciful toward Krishna Devi Dasi Mataji that he not just once, and he has not forgotten her. He was always reminding and telling her in that situation also that what was most important is to carve Krishna out of our mind and uh, from this material identity. So it was very, very, very impressive, and yeah, all through while as God Bhagwan Prabhu told, Prabhupada was always patient. Like the last few para of the last chapter also, the Shikha incident and the rock candy incident was very nice. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah, maybe Satish Prabhu or
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes, Mataji, I was unmuting Mataji. Yes, Mataji, I think Gaur Bhagan Prabhu already reflected, but I think the personal attention that Prabhupada, gave without losing temper, for an act we don't expect from a devotee, that was, he was repeatedly writing kind letters. So on one end, we see he's like, super, super focused, and when there is a delay in the printing of Srimad Bhagavatam, he acts immediately. And on the other hand, on such a sensitive topic, the way he's able to balance out things is always something that very very basically the different flavors that he's able to display at that right page is very impressive and always motivating, Mataji, for us. Thanks for this session, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
yes, Prabhuji, rightly said. I think such qualities of Prabhupada even attract our attention and our heart. That, as you said, na, he had like, the right attitude for the right thing. So, yeah, even we are learning, we have to learn from that how we can exhibit such behavior in our own personal life. Yeah.
Yes, Mataji, because we kind of reflect, something that happens in one aspect of our life to the other aspect, or we kind of give up. But yeah, totally, Mataji.
Also, Mataji, one learning for us also is there from this Krishna Devi Dasi. Although she had Srila Prabhupada as guru, but still Maya is strong, and one needs to be careful.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, very important point. Maybe Krishna Prabhu, Ratikiri Mataji, Adiras Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji. I think there are many things which I liked. First thing is sometime Prabhupada Maharaj also, for example, the dog one, he was raising his hand and making his face and then making funny gestures to dogs, and sometime become behaving like a young boy at one point. Second thing which I liked is even though Krishna Devi Das Mataji she left, but he was always concerned about her and even for her boyfriend, I think. So he was concerned for all the disciple, and that shows how kind he was. And yeah, I think being a devotee, we also should be very very kind to everybody, no matter what. So yeah, that I learned from this chapter.
Yeah, so true, Prabhuji. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have to be that kindness in our heart, that we give, even we feel that somebody is not acting as per the Krishna conscious way, but still if we reflect that kindness, the other person has chance to come back. So yeah, as you told, it is very very important lesson, the kindness act. And yeah, the dog instant and Prabhupada instant, yeah, that he was so young and full of life from the heart. So even I felt that.
Yes, yes, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yeah. Ram Raga Prabhu Ratikeli Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, yeah, it's all been told, like everybody is told. I mean, you, Prabhuji, and all of them, that same Krishna Devi Dasi's incident. Even I was thinking what will be next, how he will react to her, or like Dhruv was also thinking that how it's not, it was in between, not continued, what happened with them. So we're just waiting for what is next with their incident. But then Prabhupada has showed how highly merciful he is, being called the founder Acharya. Not, he is an example of being so merciful. And yeah, definitely Kandamakaran Maharaj also says, whatever happens, you have to be compassionate and not really show your purity's force. This is what he always says. And yeah, the compassion he has for his disciples, and the disciples have proved that they can do anything for Prabhupada because he's so kind and he's the best among this movement. That dedication the disciples have shown for his kindness. Yeah, it's always said that whatever is there, right or wrong, never forget to be kind. It may be right can go, you may fail to have people around you, but kindness will never fail to. Yeah, he's made his disciples feel very nice so that they don't leave him. Yeah, that's what I could take from this. And yeah, many incidents, but showing so much of mercy to Subala Das and Krishna Devi Das is very much to take. Yeah.
Yes, Mataji, very rightly summarized and put up.
Yeah.
Actually, when you were talking, I could also see that, yeah, somehow it at one point it went like at 9 o'clock. Maybe my eyes on the watch. I was thinking Prabhuji will stop, but in a way, well, it was such a nice that if he continued for extra 5 minutes, and we could see what happens next.
Yeah.
Yeah, Subala Prabhu, and I am still hoping that maybe in the rest half of the chapter, Mataji also writes back to Prabhu or something happens. So let
Yes.
us come tomorrow and see
Yeah.
how it turns out. And yeah, but we have to be vigilant of Maya also, as God
Yeah.
do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Adi Rasa Prabhu, anything you would like to add?
I think you already, Mataji, have covered all points, Mataji, which I had in my mind. So yeah, no new point. Thank you, Prabhuji, for reading.
Yeah, and Prabhuji, tomorrow you should complete this suspense for all of us.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes. Yeah. It was nice coming together at this hour and reading Prabhupāda-līlāmṛta. So thank you very much, all of you. And yeah, Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
Thank you.
Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.